Welcome into the Daily Dish. I'm Jeremy Warner. He's Joey Wagner. In the last Daily Dish, we talked about what a great first official visit weekend it was for Illinois football, Joey, landing 4 commits. But there are plenty of guys still out there, including 6 guys who took official visits, haven't committed yet, likely to take more official visits. And then we got a couple weekends coming up of the 17th through the 19th and the 24th through the 26th. So what is the big kind of thing hanging out there after the first official visit weekend, in your opinion, about this class?
And state stars. Can you go get a Malik Ellis? Can you get a Jair Hill? Can you close those down? I know this sounds like we're rehashing the same few things, but it's so important because I know we've talked about it before, Jeremy. The class of 2023 in the state of Illinois has some really solid, especially top end talent, and Illinois is in the ring for that top end talent. So can you get it? That to me is the biggest one out there. And I know honorable mention would be the Florida weekend. You got to restock on defensive backs. You've got to keep that going, especially because you have a really nice pitch for it. But I think by and large right now is, can you lock some of those guys down and make that splash in state?
Yeah, and I think 4-star Malik Ellis, the wide receiver out of Chicago Simeon, is kind of a focus because I think he's really gettable, Joey. If I had to say, as of today, we're recording this June 8th, I think Illinois is the leader, but Cincinnati is involved here. And Cincinnati has 3 commits already at wide receiver in this class, but from everything I've heard, they still want Malik Ellis, as they should. He's a 6'3", 200-pound, physical, athletic wideout with a very, very high ceiling. But Cincinnati's on a roll, man. They just made the college football playoff. They have a top 10 recruiting class. It was top 5 the last I checked. They had 9 NFL draft picks last year. Like, they just had 9 NFL draft picks in the same class. We talk all about Georgia had 13. Cincinnati wasn't too far behind at 9. So Cincinnati's got something to sell. But I do think Illinois, selling him as the number 1 guy, being able to play right away for Illinois, I think has really resonated with him. I think the in-state hometown hero thing has really resonated with Malik Ellis. And I think the NIL would be better for a Chicago kid at Illinois than it would be in Cincinnati. But Illinois has to overcome, it hasn't produced very many receivers here in recent years. It hasn't had a very good passing game. While Cincinnati just had a second-round wide receiver, had a quarterback get drafted, right? So the proof isn't in the pudding yet, but they have a new offense coordinator in Barry Lunny they can sell. LZ's a big one. And right now it seems like it's Illinois-Cincinnati, Joey. And that's a tougher battle than Cincinnati was in previous years. Michigan and Tennessee, kind of 2 programs kind of hanging around in that one as well.
Yeah, not only did Cincinnati have a second round pick, the kid was from the state of Illinois. Alec Pierce is from, I think, Glenbard West. Is that right? Probably West. So yeah, man, it's gettable, but that's just the big one because it feels like it changes the whole perspective of the class. If you've already got Caden Fagan, who's a top 5 kid in the state of Illinois. If you can get one, I'm sure Bret Bielema would run through the streets for 2 more top 5 kids in the state of Illinois. Then you're really starting to, they're already starting to do something, but then you see the proof of, hey, these connections that we've tirelessly built since being hired, they're paying off. Our recruiting diligence on these guys is paying off in the form of commitments. So it's a big one. But Jeremy, we can't overlook the Florida weekend. I mean, that's a big one, and we call it that because there's a lot of recruits in the state of Florida, defensive backs coming up to Illinois to visit, and Ryan Walters is connected down there. Aaron Henry is connected down there. Those 2 are 2 of the, probably I would say, better recruiters on the staff. They're 2 very good recruiters, at least. So that's a big one because I don't know, outside of offensive line and running back, which we knew were going to be good sells for Illinois program under Bret Bielema, I don't know if there's a better sell right now than defensive back playing for Ryan Walters and playing for Aaron Henry.
I agree with you, Joey. 2 of my top 4 needs in my piece this week on the website were cornerback and safety. I had quarterback, defensive line, wide receiver, and then the 2 DB positions. We feel like we can trust Ryan Walters and Aaron Henry, right? Especially down in Florida, whether it was Lovie Smith or now Bret Bielema, they've been able to sell Florida DBs, and they got a bunch of in-state kids last year that kind of developed late in Matthew Bailey, TJ Griffin, found a kid in Tyson Rooks out of Georgia. So I think that's one of the easier positions to find, but this staff also does a pretty good job with their connections. I do want to mention they have one more position that could be up with that sell, and it's tight end. And I think a guy we got to start talking about more, along with Malik Ellis and Jair Hill. And the reason we're probably not talking about him more is because we don't hear from him often. He's kind of had a quiet recruitment, but also it's always looked like Deacon Tanielli was kind of a bigger recruit than Illinois could pull in. But you talk about Bret Bielema and Barry Lunny, their time at Arkansas with Hunter Henry, and you date back to Wisconsin, all the draft picks, I think 7 tight end draft picks for Bret Bielema as a head coach. They have a sell with tight ends. And Deacon Tanielli just took an official visit to Illinois. They are a major player along with Michigan and Purdue. So that's a recruitment, Joey, that we talk about Jair Hill, Malik Ellis. Deacon Tanielli might be one we need to talk about more because I expect him to take his other official visits. But given that he went to Illinois first, and it seems like there's good vibes, at least after that one, not saying Illinois is going to land him, but maybe they're actually in this thing.
Hey, another top 5 recruit in the state of Illinois to go swinging with, swinging for the fences with them there. And yeah, that's a big one. And Jeremy, we've talked about tight end in the sense that we don't think this is just going to be oh my goodness, we need tight ends in this class. I think they're going to be very methodical, very picky. They're going to shoot for the stars and who they want to land, because remember, they landed 3 in the class of 2022, and you do lose Luke Ford and you do lose Michael Marquez. But you have some guys that Owen Anderson's a super interesting guy there. Navion Cargill's an interesting guy. Obviously, Tip Ryman. But if you can add a Deacon Tanielli, you don't look back. And that's a big one. And again, a lot of these, Jimmy, when we talk about this, the on-field impact, I think we've talked about at length. That's obvious, right? To get the talent, start upgrading that. But Bret Bielema is at the position where you want to, there's an off-field impact you want to make too. And there's a flexing of the muscles you want to do too. And getting that going in the second year would feel like a fast progression here back in the state of Illinois. We've talked about how those relationships were when Bret Bielema and his staff took over. So if you can get one, and you got a good sell to a tight end there. I mean, as you mentioned, there's a lot of really talented tight ends they've produced. So it is a big one, and you're probably right. One we need to talk about probably a lot more.
Yeah, there's plenty of more official visits that they're scheduling as this is going on. We'll see who else they get on campus this month, plus all the camps they are attending now. There's always 1 or 2 guys that seem to develop during this month that turn into guys that are committed by the end of it. So we will cover it all at IlliniInquirer.com.